From McDonald, can you report on stage?
Black, just watch a minute now. Thank you.
All right, it's on Church Street. It's Church Street, right? Church Street, yes. Church Street in Georgia. Take a picture with her. Roger, come down, let's take a picture. Yeah. Since you're not here. Where is Sam? Sam up there?
Yeah, that's already.
Let me go. How you doing? All right?
tribute and homage to the father of our nation, Dr. Cheddi Jagan. A man whose legacy and vision continue to live on. We are here today to remember a man who founded our party, the People's Progressive Party. We are here to remember a man whose vision for Guyana was not only to alleviate Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to remember a leader. We are here to remember a visionary who empowered our youth, so much so that a young comrade Babu Jaan became Guyana's youngest president ever in the history of our country. Comrades and friends, over the next few we will have an impressive program. People's Progressive Party bid you a special welcome to this anniversary celebration, this tribute to Comrade Cheddi Jagan. As we all know that Comrade Cheddi started his political career from the sugar industry, the struggle of the sugar workers. And today we are seeing that what Comrade Cheddi fought for, the APNU AFC are trying to kill it. And we have here with us a person who have been affected by the big stick method of this government, where they have put out over 7,000 workers out of employment. We have here Comrade Sheikh, a former sugar worker from Rosal, who have lost his job. Today he's been forced to sell plantain chips. He's right here with us, and he's proud that he's trying to earn a living. I want to call Comrade Sheikh to the microphone to tell us what is life under this government, because today he's not earning a regular salary. Comrade Sheikh.
Fellow comrades, His Excellency, good afternoon. Since I've lost my job, I feel useless. As a husband, a father, I have a family to feed. Whatever I was getting while working at the estate was able to feed them, give them clothing, and maintain me. Now, I can't do that. It is not easy. Father knows what I am going through. All you think of is to make your family happy, that does make you want to make you want to wake up early in the morning and go to work when you know there's a salary at the end of the week. Now I don't even want to wake up because I feel shame knowing that I can't give my family what I'm supposed to give them. I know I have to walk with my head down. It hurts inside to see my wife and children unhappy since I've lost my job. It's not just my job loss, but the feeling of being a man now that I can't prove myself to my family. My wife who used to do the best by making ends meet, now she can't provide tea, breakfast, or dinner when I'm not working. How can she do what when there is hardly anything there in the kitchen? How you expect me to feel every day since they fire me? I'm trying to find work and scraps just to give to them something to eat. How can my children go to school properly and study knowing that daddy is not working? Every father does want them children to have a better life and does work hard to do that. How can I do that when I no longer have a job? They don't think about these things when they fire me. How they expect me to survive? It's not me alone, but all of us. The father who got fired going through this. As I stand here talking to you, I don't know what I will do. They don't know the pain we're feeling. To make matters worse, the severance pay they don't want to even give us. They say they didn't cater for it. How could they fire me and they don't want to pay us our severance pay? It means that we don't count, that we are nothing. That is the real I pass. When I see my wife struggling in the kitchen, my heart hurts. When holiday time come and I can't give my children something to make them happy, it hurts. Then being shame, them bring shame on we. We punishing and them laughing and enjoying themselves. Only God knows how we will make out. But it's hard. It's really hard because I don't know what future could I give to my family. And it's the same for all the other workers. I just hope that something can be done quickly about this situation. Thank you very much.
Here we have Comrade Sheikh Mohammed, a comrade who was working at Rosal Estate in the factory. Today he is out of employment and you heard his story. Today he's been forced to do other odd jobs to ensure that his family survive. Ladies and gentlemen, we have here a number of persons who are attending today's activity. We have people from Region 4, we have people from Oriala Siparuta, people from the East Bank of Berbice. But we also have people internationally here with us. I want to welcome members of the diplomatic corps here. They are here with us. At this point in time, I would like to call on Comrade Rupert Singh to come on stage to sing for us a song, One Love.
And I really loved him because he treated me in a very personal way, like a son, and his wife, Mrs. Jagan, like a son. And the faces behind me are the faces that helped to keep me alive, that I'm here today, and Dr. Luncheon, and everyone else here. So they asked me to do a song called One Love. And when I got here and heard Bob Marley, I'm saying, no. I can't do that. So I decided I was going to do it with you. Are you going to do it with me? And we're going to wish this family, one big family, one love. Okay, I'm going to give you the key. Down, 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 da, 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 da. Come on, stand with me. Down, down. Gathering, feel alright. Hear the children singing, hear the children crying. Oh yeah, let's get together and feel alright. Dirty remarks. There is one question I'd really love for the old man living who can turn on mankind just to save his own belief. I'm singing to you, one love. What about the one heart? What about let's get together and feel alright? Can I hear it now? What about the one heart? What about let's get together and feel alright? One more time. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright.
Let us put our hands together for almost every single Guyanese. During his lifetime and after his death, he has touched many persons. Today I have with me a young professional, a person when we were in government who studied under the PPP civic government and came back to this country qualified as a doctor. Let me introduce to the microphone Dr. Grayson Valley, a young professional who will be speaking on Dr. Jagan.
Friends, as we commemorate and celebrate the rich legacy that has been left to us by our hero and a hero of this country, Dr. Cheddi Jagan, I do not only feel honored, but a profound sense of pride to share this platform today in his remembrance. Dr. Jagan died 21 years ago. As a young person, I was not able to benefit from his wisdom directly when he was alive, but I was always eager to learn about his contribution and about his life. As I stand here today in this county of his birth, among you, his supporters, I cannot overemphasize how much we all owe a debt of gratitude to him. I have been dubbed a young professional and grew under the PPPC government. I am fortunate, yes, I am fortunate that I did grow up under this period. I am also fortunate that I grew up in the period where I could have benefited from opportunities afforded to me. Not only was I exposed to various levels of education, but I also benefited from the environment created that allowed young people of my age to fulfill their potential and dreams. Growing up, I saw firsthand the transformations through modernization which this country has experienced. During that time, I also benefited from the experience shared by those before me that allow me the opportunity to put into context my life and my achievement thus far. When I recall those tales told to me, I had and still have a difficulty trying to envisage life without some of the things we benefit from today. Our technological advances has come a long way under the PPPC. I realize that what is now considered simple for us in this generation was not so for the generation before us. What we today have as a normal part of life was a dream of luxury for them. Sometimes in that context, one can easily lose value or not attach value to what we have today. You can therefore understand how difficult it still is for me to envisage the nightmare life was before. Before the technological and social advancement which we have today. The obvious question I asked myself, after having the full understanding of the transformation Guyana has undergone, was why it didn't happen sooner. As my knowledge and ability to better understand the dynamics increased, I realized that for such monumental change to be engineered, it takes a vision. It also takes visionary people, such as our late leader, Comrade Jagan. Let us continue to fight in his name. For the betterment of this our dear land we proudly call Guyana. Long live the PPPC. Long live the ideals and legacy of our founding father, Dr. Jagan.
It's totally unnecessary. The industry can sustain itself. True, we know it had problems, but it needs investment. It needs investment for it to continue and to grow from strength to strength. And this government is refusing to give it that investment. In the last stages of the PPP civic government, we saw the signs that the industry was turning around. In 2015, the industry surpassed all its targets. And you recall the PNC, the UPNU AFC government said that they were passing these targets because there was no political interference. They were trying to steal our own thunder. But the next year, they did not put any investment in the industry and started to run the industry down. They were right. The industry is being run down because of political interference and political vendetta by a regime that is not worthy of its salt to try to attack an industry as the sugar industry in our country. Comrades, let me say that Mr. Granger will be speaking empty words about a green economy when the industry that can provide a green economy in our society is being under attack. Look right here in Berbice. We have been able to demonstrate that the cogeneration plant is generating electricity from bagasse, a renewable resource. That is the energy. He's right now in India. Right now in India talking about a green economy. But energy is one of the key aspects of developing a green economy, and yet he's attacking the industry. In fact, instead of closing down estates, he should have been opening another cogeneration plant at Albion and another one at Enmore. That would have been going in the direction of a green economy. Comrades, we have a lot of possibilities in this industry to create more jobs while we modernize and mechanize the industry. Bringing new products on stream, we can create far more jobs. It appears to me that this regime is only depending on oil. But let me say today, on this anniversary of Jagan, that oil can never provide the amount of jobs for local people like the sugar industry and agriculture can. In fact, a lot of the people who will come to work in oil will be expatriates. So not only will be they exporting the profits of the oil industry, but even the wages that will be paid and the salary that will be paid will be shipped abroad in a large way. So you cannot want to attack an industry like the sugar industry. Instead, you should have been developing ethanol as we started to do at Albion. You should have been cutting costs as we were working towards to provide liquid fertilizers to the industry. You should have been putting more lands under mechanization. You should have been expanding the sugar industry health food by providing more bottled molasses that was selling in Trinidad like hotcakes. You should have been providing more packaged sugar for the low price of sugar on the world market. These are not difficult things to do, but this regime, for obvious reasons, have been attacking the sugar industry in a very, very vicious way. Comrades and friends, not only the sugar industry is being attacked, but agriculture as a whole. I recall when I was president, I gave some lands to landless farmers at Seafield and number 47 on the west coast of Berbice. Afro-Guyanese farmers who were without land, we gave them land. We said to them, if you want, you can stay in the co-op. You can take your land with you in the co-op. We were not attacking the co-op. As soon as the government changed, they went to try to take away the land from those people. We had to go to court to stop them. And one of the arguments in court was that since the president signed the lease for the land, then therefore they cannot take it away. And you know what? Mr. Granger promptly signed the lease to take away those lands from those farmers. Therefore, he's hostile. He's very hostile to agriculture as a whole and attacking farmers on the west coast of Berbice. We had again to go to court to win that case in court. Comrade Nandalal took that case to court and won it on the constitutional motion when they turned it against Granger. And I hope that those farmers will prosper, because as they prosper, Granger and the PNC will wither away with jealousy. Comrades and friends, let me also say to you, I want to make one other point before I leave the podium. I have always been saying, the PPP civic government, we came under a lot of assault on the talk of corruption. I was telling the people all the time that while I will agree that there was some corruption in our government, there was never the type of corruption that the PNC and the APTU spoke about. Never anything of that nature. Because we were rooted in Cheddi Jagan's principle of being lean and clean. That was our principle. And therefore, what was being attacked on us was heaped on slander. And I was very happy only a few days ago. I saw in the press where one of the ministers in the Ministry of Finance saying that after they have made 46 or 56 forensic audit, they have not found anything that they can charge anyone with in our government. That has vindicated us, but we cannot say the same thing about these fellas who are in government. Give you an example, the airport project. We had a turnkey project there. to build a new airport with 8 mooring points. They changed that. Why they changed it? It was a turnkey contract. The contractor had to deliver that. They changed that to a refurbished airport with two chutes. I heard now that they're feeling a bit shame and they're saying they might put in another 2. Why they did that? Something stinks about what is going on there. We heard about the Durban Park. They want no cursing the Auditor General, attacking the Auditor General and trying to prevent him from auditing the books in the Durban Park. And almost every single thing that you can put your hands on or talk about, any development, we see clear signs of corruption. Corruption has never been so high. Probably even worse than when Burnham was president of this country. And I say here today that if Sarah is financed properly, if it works professionally and don't take orders from the PNC, then cabinet meetings will have to be held in Camp Street at the jail. All of them are supposed to be in the jail. Comrades, on this occasion, as we celebrate the centenary of the life of Comrade Cheddi Jagan and observe the 21st anniversary of his passing, let us rededicate ourselves to what he stood for freedom, for dignity. I see some of those fellas, a section of our media in particular, got no shame, writing things like we know that they're going to rig election, like if they're accepting that, like if we must all lie down and allow them to do these things, and if it's their right to do that. Or then they say that this country abroad or that country will intervene, and as if they forget a principle laid down in the United Nations. People who have no backbone, no dignity to talk these things, accepting that kind of intervention in our politics. Look what is happening in America. They claim that Russia is interfered with their election. That whole day you hear the rowing. It dominates their waves. But they have people writing in our press here saying that that gives some countries a right to intervene in our local affairs. Those people cannot escape colonialism. They cannot escape slavery. They cannot escape indentureship. Bob Marley once said, we must liberate ourselves from mental slavery, but some of us can't, particularly those who write those nonsense in the newspapers very often. 2 of them come to mind immediately. Comrades, let us stand up for dignity. Let us stand up for freedom. Let us stand up for peace, progress and prosperity, and keep the name of Jagan alive forever.
Thank you very much, Comrade Ramotar. Come on, let me hear you for Comrade Donald Ramotar.
और फूल मुस्कुराए, मुझे तुम याद आए, मुझे तुम याद आए, जब जब भी चांद निकला और तारे जगमगाए, मुझे तुम याद आए, मुझे तुम याद आए. Cheddi Jagan was a great man. He gave his life for this land. He is gone since the maker gone. He is gone, but still He gave to us our freedom, and we all our oppression. He gave to us our freedom from the days of oppression. Fearless he was adopted, he went cast in the dungeon. Oh, a father figure he still is. We are because he lived. Above all, he still stood strong. Oh, hero, why did you fall? Bearing on always wisdom for the people, and always wisdom from humbleness he did strive to see his country to sunshine. Oh, his blood he gave for this land. A beacon he'll always stand. In our heart he still lives on. Old Mara gave us his son. From struggles he never lost. Brother, we are his hometown. Proud we are in his hometown. His 100 years we celebrate. Memories to rejuvenate. Oh, a friend, a comrade, he was. Our nation free, he did burn. He guided us with his hand. Born bird, still in this land. Cheddi Jagan was a great man. He gave his life for this land. He's lost in the maker come. He's lost here with us. He's gone in the maker come. He's gone but still here with us. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was beautifully done by Comrade Compter Bassad. Let us give him another round of applause. Comrades and friends, we have come to the most important item on the agenda. I want to introduce to you somebody who was recognized at a very young age by Comrade Cheddi Jagan. At a very young age, Comrade Cheddi co-opted him into the executive committee of our party. Comrade Cheddi recognized his leadership role, his quality, and in 1992, when the PPP won the elections, Comrade Babu Jaan March was made the junior finance minister. And not long after that, he was promoted to be the senior minister of finance. And in 1999, when Comrade Janet Jagan resigned, Comrade Babu Jaan was made the youngest president of our country. Comrades, in 2001 and 2006, he led the People's Progressive Party to victory. And I am sure today he has held the highest office in the PPP, that of General Secretary. Comrades and friends, I am sure that come 2020, he will lead us once again to victory. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome to the podium Comrade Babu Jaan, General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party.
Okay. Thank you very much. Comrades, friends, on behalf of the People's Progressive Party, allow me to thank you for being here today. Over the many years, you've stood faithfully with the People's Progressive Party because you recognize the nature of our party. It is a national party, that it is a party dedicated to progress of all of our people, regardless of their race, regardless of their religion, their gender, or any other differentiating factor. Now this year, there is a difference in these celebrations because we are here today to talk about Cheddi Jagan and 100 years of his birth. And it would be very hard for me to trace the course of Guyana over the past 100 years, how we moved from near slave-like conditions in this country to a proud people now living in dignity, fighting to carve a nation that brings everyone together and that will provide a good life for all of us. That journey has been a long one, 100 years for Cheddi Jagan. But if you trace the period that Cheddi Jagan had an active role in the past 100 years in the formation of national ethos and a nation, you cannot help but conclude that Cheddi Jagan had a defining influence on this nation and how it has been shaped. And so from the very beginning, 1946, when they established the PAC, he recognized the realities of Guyana, the multi-ethnic nature of our country, the multi-religious nature of our country, and he sought to reflect that in the PAC. Look at who the members were. And then in 1950, when the party was formed, he reached out once again to Burnham because he recognized that people must feel part of a government and that this country will only make lasting progress when all of our people feel part of that progress. So Cheddi Jagan had, and we are very, very fortunate as a party and as supporters to have a person of that nature because he always saw the big picture, the national issue of bringing people together. Now contrast that with the behavior, just recent behavior of the APNU government in office. Many times they believe that patriotism in this country belongs to them. But look at how I explored this theme at a recent press conference I had about how they believe that they own national symbols, symbols that belong to all of our people. So on Matrimony Day, they had all the officials who were participating in matrimony wear their party colors. We've heard from Adrian how they seized the minister saying, this is our thing, the celebration, the flag raising ceremony on our Republic Day, which belongs to all Guyana, all of our people. The flag belongs to each one of us, not Amnali, not Granger, not the PNC. But they seized the flag to prevent the flag raising ceremony. We have seen when we had the border issue with Suriname, and when we decided to go to the International Court, basically the International Convention on the Law of the Sea, to settle the boundaries with Suriname, which led to the reopening of all the exploration activities back in Guyana. What position they took? The leader of the opposition at that time went to Suriname and signed an agreement with the leader of the opposition there, criticizing us. They didn't support us, although I invited them to a meeting. Look at what our position has been on the border with Venezuela. In the 70s, when the country came under threat, Cheddi Jagan offered critical support. And up to recently, in spite of all of our criticisms about how they approach the border issue, we said that this government will have our full support on this issue because we are patriots. This country belongs to all of us. Cheddi Jagan imbued that with us. When you had the criminals recently escape from the prisons, we didn't take their sides. We didn't call them freedom fighters. We supported our security forces in apprehending them once again. Contrast that with their behavior when the 5 famous ones who escaped led a murderous, and subsequently led a murderous rampage across our country. They portrayed them as freedom fighters. Look at how all the symbols of nationhood, they say the parliament is being treated, the judiciary, Granger's position with Chicum. He believed that if he interprets the law and the constitution, then forget what the judiciary thinks. Forget that there is an opposition, that his interpretation alone. And if that's the case, then we'll become a dictatorship. And therefore, I reject all that they've said about the PPP, about how we are not patriots. We are the patriots in this country. They've been harming national unity. And Cheddi Jagan recognized that only when these symbols are recognized, that you could have a nation that is cohesive, that can come together where all the people feel comfortable, they're respected, they're not discriminated against because of their race or their religion. They all find a place for themselves and their children. That's the future of Guyana that we always wanted, that Cheddi Jagan fought for, and that we will continue to fight for in the People's Progressive Party. That's the future. So, today, many of you are here, you've heard a lot about Cheddi Jagan. And Babu Jaan has become a place now where the whole country listens to what we say here, because they recognize that we speak about policies, where we want to go in the future. And this afternoon, I want to tell you about what will happen between now and the next elections, how we will work to ensure a PPP victory. That's the first thing. And then I want to tell you what this country can expect of us after we win power. So let's start with the work. Recently, we have had Many people have had tremendous fears about the elections. And right across the country, on the mouths of many people, or the thing that they raise most, is that given the nature of the PNC, are they not going to rig the next elections? That's the thing that people are most worried about, because they know that we will have the numbers at the polls to win the next elections. There will be a 50,000 difference between us and them. But will they steal? And it is a reasonable fear, given how they acted in the past. But we must never allow this fear to paralyze us. That is my message to people. Roger Luncheon says, it's a challenge. It's not a fait accompli. And we must fight to prevent it. And so how do we win the next elections? I've gone through this theme over and over and over again. And this is where every one of you can help in that victory. First of all, we have to get every single voter on the voters list. We need the help of everyone. We have just concluded a registration exercise, and many of our strongholds, when we look at the numbers, people are eager to come out, but the numbers who went to the registration station, they do not match those numbers, although we have had the highest amount of people who have registered in this cycle than ever, and most of them are in our stronghold. So that's a good sign, but we need to step up the work in the next cycle. That's the first thing we need to do. We have to start preparing the logistics to bring every single one out. And we have to prevent the stealing. And how do we do that? Let me tell you what we said to our commissioners at GCOM. And this is something that we will fight for. There are several areas of concern right now. We have, first of all, a concern about the integrity of the database within GCOM. And so we'll have to make sure that that database has not been tampered with. We have to cross-check the 2015 database with the one that they have now to see if there are some unusual patterns. We have asked the GCOM to have an independent verification of the database, because we recently had an exercise, and on February 3rd, GCOM published the list, and then on the 6th of February, they gave the party an old list. They published a new list. So we have to be very vigilant about the database. Secondly, GRO. We've heard Felix talk about the 3 million digital transactions. Well, we don't trust Felix and the others. They may be trying to pad the voters list, so we'll have to have an independent verification of that list. Our commissioners, the third thing they have to look at is how they hire staff in GCOM. Clearly, you can't have the imbalance there that you have. It's so stark, and say it's merit-based. We have to have a fair system of hiring election day staff. We have to work at enhanced biometrics. So if we don't get an electronic form of voting, that people who go in these polling places will not get an extra ballot, a ballot, unless they're verified. These are things. We have to find a way of scrubbing the list, getting dead people off that is transparent. I'm telling you all of this because I want the media to know, and all of our supporters to know, that we're not lying down. We're not taking it as granted that they will rig the elections. We're looking out for every single method that they would use, and we will block those so that the PPP can emerge victorious. We are also internationalizing this fight because the international community needs to be part of this too. And don't listen to the rumors. They love to say the Americans will keep them 10 years, promise to keep them 10 years in office. It's a lie. And now I'm hearing they're saying that ExxonMobil, they're telling their supporters on the ground, people who are leaving them, that they had to give a lucrative deal to ExxonMobil because they promised to keep them 10 years in office. That's a lie too. It's a desperation. And so don't fall prey to rumors, because if they demoralize you by these rumors, then our people would say, let's give up. We've already given up, let's leave the country. So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about. It might not sound very exciting, but it is important. How do we block the stealing at the next election? Secondly, how do we deal with civil society? Now there are lots of people who are coming to the PPP now looking for leadership, and we have to give that leadership in this country. The rice farmers, sugar workers who left us because of promises, they're back with us. Our base is strong. We have a significant Indo-Guyanese support that we have retained over the many years, not because of race, but because of our policies. The majority of the Amerindians vote for the PPP because their lives have changed under the PPP, not because of race. And now Afro-Guyanese have now had a chance to compare, and many of them are coming to us for leadership. And our party, Cheddi Jagan's party, the way it was set up from the beginning as a class-based party, must have an open door policy to everyone. That's how we become strong, invincible. That's what we need to do. So we need to give leadership to every group. We have seen people who are hardcore activists of the PNC now suffering because this government has two sets of discrimination. One, it's racial discrimination, and two, it's a class-based discrimination. If you don't belong to a little elite, then whether you're black or Indian, you're a farmer or a fisherman, you suffer on the ground, or a vendor. They don't care which race you belong to, although they target Indo-Guyanese too, and Amerindians. So it's both class and racial discrimination. And we now need, as Donna Ramatar said, people come to us who are with them, who voted for them. We need to be open. Civil society, we must form a compact with civil society, reach out to civil society on the basis of the future. I've seen issues like RISE and all of these organizations, and many people think we're in conflict with them. There is a space for civil society in fighting for rights too. I've seen the Bar Association, many other organizations fighting to stand up to this dictatorship that is emerging. We must have a compact with them. They need to know that there's some things that the PPP will pursue in the future. Thirdly, what do we do about the policies they've put in place? People can expect the following things from us: a reversal of all the anti-poor policies they've put in place. We're gonna remove the VAT from the 46 food items. We're gonna remove that as soon as the PPP gets back in office. We're gonna remove the VAT from water and from electricity and from airline travel into the interior. We're going to restore the subsidies to the pensioners so that they don't have to pay water rates. We're gonna restore the children's grant. We're gonna reverse many of the policies that they put in place. The taxes that are harming our private sector to grow, over 200 taxes. You can expect that of the PPP. These are things that we are working on in the future. We have to return, as Donald Ramatar pointed out, to a practical green policy. The hydropower that they killed should have been producing power by now and cutting electricity prices by half. We'll return to that. We'd use the gas. We do a study on the gas to see how it could add value and create new sectors in the economy, not operate the way they're doing. And we also have to, this is something that is critical. the oil and gas industry, you've seen the confusion and the corruption. They sought to steal 18 million US dollars that they put in a private account. And let me tell you what the Minister of Finance said. When he was questioned about it, he said, we never requested a signing bonus. We never received one. It was a lie. They hid it for a year and a half until it was exposed, and until now it's in a private account. They have not defined any way forward through the Sovereign Wealth Fund, the local government legislation, the local content legislation about how they will auction future blocks. There is no architecture to manage the industry, because if they put in a rule-based architecture, they wouldn't be able to steal the money. So that will be something that you can expect immediately from the PPP in office. And this sector, for this sector to grow, it has to be apolitical. So we'll have to reach out to them too. Now APNU will get the PNC because AFC will get practically nothing at the next elections, AFC. But APNU will continue to get some support. They will get 30 to 35% based on the polls. They will get 30 to 35% of the votes. Now, we still have to reach out to them once we're in government, because we want a country, a sector that is apolitical, and we want this country to make rapid progress. We will support campaign finance reform. We are in favor of constitutional reform, because whatever people want, we will support in the new constitution. We will return to a multi-track approach in the sector. So comrades, these are just some of the things that we will do in government. But for all of this to happen, we need to prepare this party. And the party, there is no conflict in the PPP between young and old. There is absolutely no conflict between young and old. We need to give young people more chance in the party to move forward, comrades. The sugar industry, I'm not going to approach sugar, because as you heard from our comrades, it was a callous approach to sugar that led to this decision. They don't care anything about sugar workers, absolutely nothing about the sugar workers. And I predict that it's going to get worse in the future. The only reason I think they took this political decision was because they want the sugar workers to migrate. They want them to leave to change the demographics of this country. So comrades, I urge you to look back at what Cheddi Jagan stood for. Look back at what Cheddi Jagan stood for. Cheddi Jagan wanted to bring people closer together. Cheddi Jagan was about progress. That's why I'm talking to you, not about just his life and what he said, but a living way of getting his party back in power. Because the best thing we can do for his legacy is to get the People's Progressive Party back in office. So that's the best thing we can do for his legacy. So comrades, we've heard, look at the Lindo Creek. This government would use everything. So we made it clear that we will participate in an inquiry that will find out the truth about the murderous rampage, as I said before, that Feynman and his gang went on with. Granger took Trotman, who is Raphael Trotman's father, and put him as the sole commissioner. Now what happened? They couldn't get witnesses, so they went in camera, closed door hearings, and then suddenly, guess who surfaced? Freddie Kissoon now surfaced. And Freddie Kissoon said that his journalistic investigations tell him that Feynman gang couldn't do it. So he doesn't know how many people are in Fine Man Gang, can't call their names, how many was at Christmas Fall, and how many at Lindo Creek. Investigation. And suddenly, that Jack Dale knew about it. And the first time in the history that Freddie Kissoon called me President Jack Dale was the 2 times that he wrote about Lindo Creek. Obviously, it's clear. They want to drag the PPP into this. They're trying to assault the army. The army went to Lindo Creek to look at it. They found the dead bodies there. That fine man and his gang murdered the army. Rather than go after the criminals, the first act of Granger was to go after the army. And now they got a henchman like Freddie Kissoon. He's suddenly trying to drag the PPP into this issue. It's very blatant about the approach of this government. So don't think that it's going to get easier. They're going to get more desperate as they continue to lose support. They are going to become more repressive. They're going to try to lock people up. They're going to try to link them with scandals. They're going to try to do all these things, including harming them physically. I know the nature of the beast. And therefore, we have to be vigilant and we cannot be intimidated. The moment that we're intimidated, we have to give up on this country. And so Cheddi Jagan's party will not be intimidated. We will wage the fight until the PPP is victorious. We'll wage a fight. And no matter what Granger does, we're sending a message to him. This is a different time. Different time. It's not the olden times when they control everything. But he lives in a dream world. He lives on Mars, still lives there. And half of his cabinet have joined them there, and half should be in Camp Street now with a blatant theft. They're stealing, and many people think that the reason they're stealing this way is because they know they're a one-term government. That's why they're stealing. In fact, some of them are telling people that we're only going to be there for a couple of years more. But we're going to look into these matters too. Trust me. And we're very efficient. Not 50 audits and not finding things. We already have evidence that you're going to see being unveiled soon about some of them. And I know they're worried about it. I know they're worried about it. Why do you think Granger recently removed the portfolio from Trotman and carry it over to the office of the president? It's a fight about who's stealing more. They said AFC thieving too much, we ain't getting a chance to thief. So bring it to the PNC now, and they will get their chance to thief. They used to talk a lot about how we steal a lot of money and stash it abroad. For 2 years now, I've been saying to Granger, hire a specialized firm to trace the assets of former government officials as well as current ones. Why do you think he's not doing it? Because they're worried about what they will find among their own people. In 3 years, they have not submitted a single statement to the Integrity Commission. In fact, they disbanded it now recently. They just put back the Integrity Commission in place, but they disbanded the Secretariat. So we can't know their starting point to judge what they have accumulated in 3 years. This is where we're going. They're totally hopeless. Every single sector that they touch is in rapid decline. 25,000 jobs lost. So what are they going to tell people the next time around? They can't say to their supporters, we're going to create jobs like they did at the last elections because we've lost 25,000 jobs. They can't say that we are going to have more transparency because this is the most intransparent government that we've had. Intransparent government that we've ever had in our history. They can't say we'll fight corruption because they're corrupt, totally corrupt. So they can't say to the sugar workers, we'll give you 20% increase. They can't say to the rice farmers $9,000 per bag. They can't say to the pensioners, we will double your salary in your pension in 100 days. So what are they going to go back to people to talk about at the next campaign? Well, they've started it. It's racism, pure racism, and that's why we have to fight racism in this country. We have to fight it. We have to point out to people that that is the only tool that this desperate group has. And the harder we work among everyone, we have to go to every village, whether they support the PPP or not. Every town, New Amsterdam, Linden, in Georgetown, many apart from our strongholds where we have to work hard. We have to go to every home and carry our message, because our message is a message of national unity. That is what our message. And once we do that, once we do all of this, then we take away this message of racism once again that they will try to use at the next elections. We have to pull the rug from under their feet. We have to show historically that between 1964 and 1992, that Afro-Guyanese fared worse off on the PNC than between 1992 and 2014. If you look at everything, if you look at access to land, if you look at ownership of vehicles, if you look at facilities, scholarships, housing, all of these issues, Afro-Guyanese own businesses. You do the comparisons when Barnum and Hoyt were in office and the 23 years of the PPP, and you will see which period Afro-Guyanese made the most progress in this history. And now, in the last couple of years, you can't give 60-something million, $68 million to a bunch of henchmen to hold a conference about black empowerment, or to give Eric Phillips and the others some money as a splinter group to hold conferences and establish a black chamber of commerce when you're decimating black farmers, when you're decimating black shopkeepers, or the hairdressing salons, all of these people who are working on the ground hard, who find it hard every day. And you want to hold a conference, you're spending millions of dollars on holding conferences and giving money to your people to hold seminars at the Marriott. How do you help the poor farmers in Ithaca or in Queenstown in Essequibo Coast, or the many black vendors who come to me every day around the Starbucks Market Square who being harassed all the time, or the young black kid who's lost their jobs, but they will go around and try to talk racism again. And that is why the more we talk about it, the more we fight it, they will have nothing in the next election to campaign on. Absolutely nothing. We must undercut them. This is what the PPP needs to do. And we will do it. So comrades, each one of us to portray that line. If this party needs to double its strength, every village must have a party group. There is no conflict between young and old. Absolutely none. The older comrades have to bring in young people. They have to train them, work with them. Some people believe that they alone own Cheddi Jagan and the legacy. Even me, they were told that if I become General Secretary, I would remove all Cheddi Jagan picture from Freedom House. You have a group saying that. I'll remove the picture. Because some people believe that just mentioning Cheddi Jagan's name, they're doing Cheddi Jagan's work. Not mentioning his name, it's working on the ground. It's struggling to keep us in or get back power. That is how we keep Cheddi Jagan's legacy going. Not by gap, whole days doing that. And stirring confusion among many of our people. Stirring confusion among our supporters. That must stop. We need to be a strong, cohesive party, working together. And young people must be given opportunities like how we were given to. But it's not getting rid of our old comrades. They're valuable too. Everyone is valuable. So I hope, and women, Women activists are carrying the work in many areas. Many times the men don't even show up to do some of the work. We gotta get more of the men to come out and help. In one area I went, I look at people checking their list. It's only women. And none the men them don't show up. They stand up at the corner and hold parliament. They all the time. But when you gotta get them to go walk down the street, they don't know that. Comrade, this is a family. The BBP family keeps growing all the time, growing. And you have to make that happen. But you have to keep the family strong by avoiding rumors and by working. That's how we do it. And so the sugar workers need to know we've been advocating for several things. Land for the sugar workers now who've been laid off. Secondly, we're saying give the sugar workers what we did for people in Region 10, in Linden. Give the sugar workers families subsidized electricity. If the price of the electricity bill in Georgetown is $5,000, the people in Linden pay $500, 10%. We need that for the sugar workers too. We need the sugar workers to get training. We've set aside $200 million in the budget. We need that to happen. We want their severance paid promptly. This is not the goodwill of the government. They earned this based on the goodwill. And we've made it clear. The first day the PPP gets into office, last night at Gangaram, I told the people again that each sugar worker will get a stipend until we can help them find a job. But we have to caution. So we're a party about doing. That is what Cheddi Jagan has always been about. Every time he was curious. I sat with him many, many times. He's always curious about how we move things forward. Not complaining. He was not a complainer. He was a person of ideas. All the time open-minded, working, always conscious of work and people. And once our party remains there, we'll stay in government for a long time. For a long time. We lost our way a bit. We didn't go and compete effectively on the ground. So we work, strengthen our party. We need the help of everyone to get people on the list. We need to get people out on election day. We need to stop the stealing. We get back in office and you will see what Guyana can be under the PPP. Thank you very much, comrades. Thank you.
Yes, comrades, let me hear you for Comrade Babu Jaan. And as we leave here this afternoon, let us take lessons from Dr. Jagan. Let us take the ideas that were shared here this afternoon. So come the next election,
and sun. We share on earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one. Not rest till wars are done. Remember, friends, the world is one. Although we hail from different lands, we share one earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one.